Welcome back to Virtual School Assembly. Today our guest is Jeff Kubiak. Jeff works hard to push back against the old model of industrialized education and fight compliance. There's not a day that goes by that he's not looking ahead to improve school culture, student engagement, and digital access for all. Being a former world-class swimmer and coach, Jeff looks at education from perspectives that others don't. Knowing what it takes to fail, struggle, win, and go through the daily challenges we all face. And if you want to know more about that, you should Google 1988 Olympic trials in swimming and Jeff Kubiak, or the 200-meter breaststroke, to know a little bit more about Jeff's story. Jeff, we're thrilled to have you on the show today. Welcome to Virtual School Assembly.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to be here. I wanted to bring a couple different perspectives to our youth today, and it doesn't matter if you're a kindergarten kid or you're finishing 12th grade and moving to college. And I do a lot of what I talk about based upon my book. I wrote a book called One Drop of Kindness, and although it's a illustrated book, I think the whole mission of kindness is so imperative. Rather, looking at things always from the angle of how could I do better, right? And I think you, the students right now, you're the next leaders. You are the leaders of what is going to happen. And I think it's important. How are you going to build that legacy and leave it for others? And so I think it's really cool that if you start embedding kindness into everything you're doing, it's going to be the ripple effect, the domino effect, chain reaction, however you want to look at those cliches. It's really true. Because, kind of looking at the news as COVID has hit, the amazing things that a lot of kids are doing. We have kids that have started companies building shields and masks and, doing so many different amazing things. And, I think it's important to look and see how can I better challenge myself and my neighbors, and then build my tribe, right? So a tribe is a group of people that have a common belief, that follow, and then everyone actually is a little bit of a leader. So, I've seen kindness rocks. I've seen challenges throughout neighborhoods of being really cool, like on the lampposts or street signs, like, okay, do, 10 push-ups and then pick up a piece of grass, and then you go, garbage or whatever it is. Then you go to the next light pole and you see another one that, do a lunge and, smile at somebody. So those are cool things. And those ones in my neighborhood, they're driven by kids, and it's really cool. And I start seeing, and you got the chalk messages and then amazing pictures in windows. And we even have a gnome in our area. Someone built a gnome. He's like 6 foot, and he goes around and has little different messages too. And so, I want you to be able to use your voice and do things in a way that's going to be kind. It's heartbreaking. I saw something at Target the other day. A consumer didn't want to put a mask on, and the Target employee would say, "Hey, I need you to do that." The dude tackled him and shattered his arm, the Target employees. And so, yeah, you know what? We have rights as people, but like if there's a store that has a policy that's asking you to do this, either comply or go somewhere else. There's choices, right? But like, is that really how he had to act? And so I see you guys out there as the group that has so much potential. Right now, over the last few months, because of COVID, pollution is down, air traffic, car traffic. Our world obviously is feeling the difference, and it's a good impact, right? So now take this, create your tribe, and go with it. What kind of movement do you want to make? Is it starting a club? Are you collecting things for others to donate? Are you checking in at schools? Are you checking in at homeless shelters? Are you looking for neighbors that might need help? What are you doing to be able to impact others in a kind, empathetic, and compassionate way? And it can be the simple things, like I was saying, like rocks or passing notes, or, hey, let me help you carry in whatever, or, let me pull some weeds for you. You don't want to get too close, right? But then you can be so much more, innovative and intricate, and, start kind of a movement online, start something on Flipgrid or TikTok, and put these challenges out there for others to see that people are going to go, wow, that's pretty sweet, and that's your legacy. Because August and September are going to be here very quickly, right? And so we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to be going half days, half the kids in the morning, half an afternoon, or whatever. It's going to be all virtual, right? So start thinking ahead to what you can do over the summer to have that impact. And so, I also see these kids out in my neighborhood cleaning the streets up and promoting, hey, buy local or go to this store because they need some help. And they're out helping to take things from curbside to cars. And so, there's so many different things you guys can do. And, write a book, make a video, share it with someone. Right now we have elderly people and really sick people that are locked down. You could even see if you can make arrangements to go, to a neighbor's window and put up a big sign. Hi, I hope you're doing well, or I miss you, or thinking about you. It's endless. And I think that this is now the time more than ever to really put that into a global impact and make that difference. What are you seeing right now, Mr. C?
I'm seeing a lot of the same. I think one of the amazing things that's come out of this time is that people are looking out more for their neighbors. They're looking for opportunities in their communities. I've loved that. I've never spent so much time just out and talking over the fence and things like that and connecting with people. You've mentioned a few times your tribe, and I've been thinking about that as you talk, because when I was a kid, my tribe was just my buddies that I went and played sports with. And as an adult, my tribe is whatever my interests are, whether it's a side hustle or a business or, my colleagues at work. But I think kids are in a unique position now, as you mentioned, to kind of build their tribe. And that might be virtually, it might be online, but it can be around their passions and their interests. I wonder if you'd talk a little bit more about what it means to have a tribe or to build a tribe.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because we've had tribes at the start of civilization, and I think the old model of no change or status quo, that's gone. We don't have the same model of industrialized education, and people are all yes man. So tribes might be okay. So we're making waves and improving the planet. Look at Greta Thunberg, right? How she's kind of got her tribe a following. So do you have a common goal? Okay, we want to see equity inclusion more at our school or whatever. Or we want, less waste at our school. You start putting the word out. Now you get people that are physical with you. Then you put it out, you're making TikTok dance videos about it. You're posting on Instagram. You're putting flyers out. Now your tribe is starting to really, really spread that message and get a viral thing going on, that your impact now is not just local. It's grown county, state, world, however it is. And you have to be able to stand up and stand out and speak out. But, at the same time, do it empathetically, compassionately, and with kindness. You don't have to get in someone's grill and be like that. There's so many good ways that you can make a difference in a kind way. And so that tribe is just, it's common interests, and everyone's kind of a leader, but rallying around and moving forward. You don't have a tribe just sits all day. That's you're not making any sort of legacy built. And it's important. And if you fail, do something different. And I was 23 years old and I knew I was going to make the Olympic team in 1988. I didn't. I missed by 1200ths. And so I didn't let that define me. I became a coach, a teacher, an educator, an author. And that's the cool thing about what we have. Everything's at your fingertips. I'm sorry. And it's the time now to make that impact.
Jeff, can I ask you just a little bit more about that experience with the Olympics? When you miss out on something that you've probably worked for all your life by 1200ths of a second, I'm sure there was a major grieving period. You probably had some lows during that time. What did it take to kind of get out of that and to get back on your feet so you could become, an author and a coach and all the things that you've done?
Yeah, the neat thing about athletics and sports, especially at the Olympics, is that you have to be your best at that time, right?
Right.
You can't have your best swim ahead of you or behind you or your best event. And so it took a ton of reflection. It took growth. It took writing and journaling. It took frustration. Um, and, I went into depression. And then I started training again because I said, that wasn't my best. I can do better. And so talking about it, journaling about it, thinking about it, reflecting about it, I found different ways to move forward. And then an injury set me back. But then, I loved the sport so much, I wanted to stay around it. And that's why I became a coach. And I got to coach Olympians. And I got to, do things I never thought I'd do. But have your mind set on one thing is fine. But you know what? You don't have to be one thing. I'm not one thing, you're not one thing, and most kids are not one thing. And so don't like siphon yourself into one thing.
Good. Well, so I'm really curious. I love your message of kindness. And when I think about people who perform at an elite level, I think a lot of kids look for this, that I want to be a celebrity. I want to have some fame and some success. And you've been around elite athletes all your life. When you look at the ones that are happiest, does their happiness come from things like kindness, or does their happiness come from things like winning a gold medal, or is it a combination of the two?
Well, I know athletes that have won gold medals and have sold them for either alcohol and drugs, or sold them because they have wasted all their money because they threw it all away and thought this was that. And so I think the satisfaction comes from you inside, you as the person, because there's too many people you hear about, like the movie star, the rock star, or the athlete or whatever, overdose, died, killed themselves. And obviously money doesn't solve the problems, right? You look at these amazing people. It's what you do as a person. And if you need help or something, you got to reach out, because mental illness and depression are real. And so building yourself up and being, you got to be graceful and kind to yourself. And then you do that moving again with your tribe. You got to have the support, and you have to support others. So yeah, we want to reach for being the best at something, and maybe being a celebrity is what someone wants to be, but you're not going to do it without having a good, solid foundation of being a good person.
Great. Now, I know one thing that's important to you in education is improving just your overall school culture. What does that mean, and what do you wish schools were doing that maybe we're not right now?
100% inclusive. That means no one is left behind. Not, the big kid, the tiny kid, the second language learner, the LGBTQ, a kid with certain needs. No one, doesn't matter what color they are. We have to accept them because we expect global awesomeness. And that means, and not just, oh, I'm okay with that kid, but I'm embracing that kid. And you know what? You're sitting next to me. You're on my team. I need to help you as you need to help me. And so there's too many differences and hatred already. And so our schools have to be strong believers of pulling everyone together. And so that's a big thing. It's like everyone gets shoes. Okay, that's great. That's, equality, but does everyone's shoe fit? Or does everyone have the same ability to get a drink of water at the highest thing? So, equity and inclusion, making it right for everyone in the place that they are, is really important.
Right. And that's not always an easy thing to do. But again, I think it starts with looking to reach out, to be kind. That one drop of kindness does go a long way. As you were talking about that, I was thinking back. I had an experience, probably about 10 years ago. I was teaching at Indiana University, and I taught in the teacher education program. So I have these students, the best students ever, because they know what they want to be when they grow up. They want to be teachers. And so I had this class, and we were talking about inclusion in the class and discrimination and what's happening in schools. And I asked students, how many of you feel like you've been discriminated against? And we had a really open discussion. And towards the end of the conversation, a girl raised her hand and she said, I've never really talked about this, but I feel like I've been discriminated against my whole life. And the interesting thing about that was she was a very attractive young woman. She was a cheerleader, and she talked about how people treated her. They expected her to be dumb because she was a cheerleader. And it was just an eye-opening thing to me in a university that didn't have a lot of racial diversity, to think about everybody wants to feel included. Everyone wants to be part of that community. And I think we've got a long way to go in schools to do that.
Sadly enough, we do have a long way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. As a school principal, what's your favorite thing about being in schools now and having your school to go to every day?
Well, the last 6 years up until the last couple of months, it's been being present and being visible and being with the kids at recess, in the classroom, in the lunchroom, having fun, smiling, seeing them learn, and watching them challenge each other and challenge themselves to be better people. And then, watching teachers connect. I love the connection. That's the most incredible part about a school to me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, as we go into the summer months, do you have any final advice for your students or for students anywhere about how to take advantage of this time? We're still in this weird period with COVID-19, but any general advice on how to make the most of your summer?
Well, I think it's really important to follow whatever the safety guidelines are, but you know what? Be social. You gotta connect. And so physical distancing is going to be important, but still, go to the park, go on a bike ride, hang out, listen to music with friends, be a kid in a safe way that you can, and do it in a kind way, because we don't know what's going to happen, but you got to get out and have fun, but just to be smart about it, make great choices, and just laugh and be a kid again. But it's important to be socially connected, but physically smart. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff, if people want to learn more about you and look at your book or just know what you're up to, where's the best way to connect with you?
Well, the book's on, One Drop of Kindness. The book's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I have a website, jeffkubiak.com. I'm on Twitter at Jeffrey Kubiak. Instagram is Jeff Kubiak Author. And find Gus the Kindness Kid on Facebook, and I'm out there. So I kind of have a motto: anything you need, I can try to get for you. Kind of like free resources for life. I want to do whatever I can to help anyone. So
awesome, thanks. Well, Jeff, really appreciate you being on the show today, and thank you so much for all you're doing for your own students, but now for a wider audience as well. Really appreciate it.
Right on, man. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.